if you're taking what Blake is saying and you're rallying behind it, you're basically excusing toxic behavior.
Michelle and Nayte talk move-in plans. Serena and Joe are up for an MTV award. Some of the Bachelor boys take their own little reunion trip, and there's a lot going down between Natasha and Blake Horstmann. We have got all of the Bachelor news from the week that you need to know. So welcome back to our channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss any of our future videos. I'm your host, Blakely McHugh, joined by the beautiful Gianna Gravelisi to break down all of these stories. Gianna, it is Friday the 13th, you pointed out earlier.
It is Friday the 13th, so I'm wondering if that's why we have some bizarre situations in the Bachelor world right now. Who knows?
I know, weird stuff is happening. Let's get to the good stuff, though. Michelle Young and Nayte Olukoya, they went on the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast with Becca Kufrin and Thomas Jacobs to talk about why they haven't moved in together yet. So for some background, the two of them got engaged on our TV screens at the end of December, which really means they were engaged for a couple of months before that. Naturally, a lot of people have been asking them when they are moving in together, especially since The Bachelor did something they've never done before and granted them a $200,000 check to buy their first home. So basically, Michelle said her and Nayte are waiting to figure out what their work situations look like next year. She is still in the middle of her school year, and Nayte could possibly move from remote work back to in person. Do you think that it's a good idea that they're sort of taking their time to move in together?
Honestly, yes. Like, just speaking off of my own personal preference, I'm like a very much so person that moves in slow motion, especially when it comes to relationships. You know, like living with somebody is a big deal. You are with them 24/7. You're blending your living styles together. Like, it's a whole different ball game, and it opens a whole nother door of something to explore in a relationship. Obviously, these two spend a lot of time together. I keep up with them on TikTok all the time, and I see them doing dances in each other's house and stuff. So obviously, they've had a little bit of practice. But I think it's smart for both their relationship and, like Michelle said, their work situation. I mean, we don't know, like, is Michelle staying at her school? Like, where's Nayte working? Like, they really need to solidify that. Especially in this unprecedented time that we're still in with like working from home and shutdowns or going back in. It's nuts. So I don't blame them for taking their time. It makes sense. It really does make sense.
I agree, but it's kind of funny because I feel like everything is backwards when it comes to The Bachelor. You know, you're only meeting somebody for a short period of time and then you're getting engaged without having these kind of like real world experiences. So it's like in your head, you feel like naturally they should move in together right away because if you're engaged, soon to be married, you know, I mean, at least for me, I think that you should be living together before you get married and all of that. So it's like, you know, you hurry up when you're in the Bachelor world, but then when you get into the real world, then you slow things down. So I was kind of expecting them to move a little bit faster, especially with the check that they got.
That makes sense too. That's another great point. I mean, with that check though, I feel like they're looking at it as something sacred, right? Like they don't want to use that check and buy a home and then move in together and then be like, oh shoot, actually, this one has to do this for work or I have to do this. And like now we got to sell the house. Like it would kind of be like a stab at ABC. So I think they're just taking like everything into consideration, especially with that check, you know, being as important as it is.
I like that perspective. Now, Becca joked that the two of them should move to San Diego to be closer to her and Thomas, but Michelle said that she would never see Nayte because he'd be hanging out with Rodney all the time if they moved there. And by the way, Becca also revealed that she and Thomas are going to be moving to New York for 3 months, and then apparently they're buying a place in San Diego, and it feels like everybody in Bachelor Nation is moving to San Diego. We've got Hannah G and Dylan, James and Aaron, Rodney, Becca and Thomas. We were saying, I think the last time we did a Bachelor recap, that we need to have some kind of like spin-off show with all of the Bachelor contestants and relationships. And I feel like San Diego is like perfect.
I think it is perfect. And Blakely, I mean, you're in San Diego. Do you ever see these people running around anywhere? Like, where are they hanging out? Where are the cool spots?
I wish I ran into them, but no, I never see them, unfortunately. San Diego is a pretty big place.
That is so
All
funny.
right.
It is hilarious that they all live there, though.
I know. I think it would be good to see them like all together going out in PB. I think it would be a good thing. Okay, so a different couple that has already moved in together though is Joe and Serena. I don't know how you feel about them. I personally love these two, and it seems like MTV thought the same thing because they were nominated for Best Reality Romance in the unscripted category for their time on Bachelor in Paradise. So first things first, I need to know what you think of this nomination. Is it warranted for them to, or should somebody else in the Bachelor franchise have gotten it?
No, I love that it went to these two. If I had to pick anyone else, maybe I'd say Abigail and Noah. But for
Mhm.
Joe and Serena, their relationship was so out of left field. It was so unexpected, right? Like we had the whole
Yeah.
Joe with Kendall situation on the beach, and Serena's way younger than him, and it was like Joe's second time being there. But like Serena really is so cute, and the way that she kind of guided Joe in the relationship, even though she's younger than him, was so wholesome. Like I loved seeing them on the beach together. I even remember their first kiss was so awkward. Like Joe was so nervous and awkward. And like the fact that they are where they're at now, like says a lot and it shows how real this is for them. Whereas like
Mhm.
Abigail and Noah, another one of my favorite couples ever, but it was either Noah or Abigail that said, like, oh, who are you most excited to see? And they said each other. So it was expected. It happened right
Yeah.
off the bat. They had like a weird thing that we still think producers like kind of constructed with
Yes.
their fallout on the beach. It was so
Yes.
strange. But for Joe and Serena, like I said, they're wholesome, but they're unexpected and they work so well together. It's like yin and yang type of thing. So I think they totally deserve this award.
Wholesome is such a good way to describe them. Like the only word that comes to my mind is sweet. Like they're both just so sweet and cute together. So they are going up against a couple from After the 90 Days, another couple from the challenge Spies, Lies, and Allies. They are going up against Tom Sandoval and Ariana Madix from Vanderpump Rules, and then a different couple from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I don't know the other couples, which is why the only one I said was Tom and Ariana. I feel like Bachelor Nation is so strong that there's no way that Joe and Serena won't take home the win. Do you think this is like they're obviously winning, or is there somebody else in this category that's going to give them a run for their money?
I mean, listen, Vanderpump Rules is like arguably one of the most popular shows ever alongside The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and all that. So I can totally see them kind of taking the cake. I wouldn't be surprised. But Bachelor Nation is a force, like you said, as long as it's a fan voted event and,
Mm.
Joe and Serena are pushing fans to vote. I haven't watched the MTV Awards in a really long time, honestly. I've been like all about the Grammys, the Oscars, the Met Gala. I know that's not an award show. And I feel like the MTV Awards are so random. So I always forget
Yeah.
that they're happening. And I feel like since I'm in the demographic as like a lot of other Bachelor Nation fans, I feel like maybe they'll just forget that it's happening and they won't have a chance to vote. And maybe that's why they might have a chance of not winning either. So those are just a few factors you have to think about. But yeah, I mean, I'd be happy for them if they won, obviously.
Yeah, the MTV Awards are so weird to me because none of these shows, but Rules, The Bachelor doesn't air on MTV. Like I feel like the MTV Awards need to be the MTV shows.
Yeah, it's so interesting how this award show works. Like I just never fully understand it. Again, I don't know if it's like the fans vote or like the MTV Academy votes. I just don't know how this works. So we'll have to just wait and
MTV.
see what happens.
You know who's also winning in life? Andrew, Greg, Trey, and Mike, all from Katie Thurston's season. Now, they may not have gotten the final rose, but they certainly found love between the four of them. Take a look.
Paradise on Earth.
So I just love this video. Boys being boys, they all took a trip to Kauai. They traveled around the little island in a minivan that they called Movana. They went hiking, snorkeling, swimming with the dolphins. I mean, really everything that you want to do when you're in Hawaii, right? And I genuinely think one of my favorite things to come out of the Bachelor, Bachelorettes are the bromances that are made. Do you feel the same?
Oh yeah, the bromances, and I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Katie's men are my favorite batch of
Mhm.
men we've ever had in this franchise ever. Am I a little biased because I am in love with Greg? Yes, but I love all of these men so, so, so much. I mean, Andrew is absolutely hysterical. I love the
Mm-hmm.
TikToks that they all make. I mean, Greg and Andrew are roommates at this point, too. Like, the fact
Yep.
that all of these friendships are still going strong is like, the show can be a little negative sometimes, right? Drama comes out of it, heartbreak comes out of it. But like you see this type of friendship that comes out with girls and guys. I love the bromances. I love the girlmances. We don't even have a word for that. But
We
I
can come
just
up with
love
it.
like, yeah, the positive that comes out of the show. Um, and specifically them. Like I want to hang out with them. I want to be all of their friends. Like I need to
Mm-hmm.
be in this friend group. Like I would have given my left arm to be on this trip to Hawaii. Um, but yeah, oh my god, I want a spin-off show with all of these men. Just specifically these four guys. Like truly.
I really
Give
feel
it to
like
me.
we're on to something, Gianna. We need to get with like Mike Fleiss or ABC and create the show so then we can, have a
Yes,
part of it.
let's do it.
Okay, so let's talk about we're gonna switch directions here, go from happy to not so happy. A feud that I genuinely did not see coming at all. Natasha Parker versus Blake Horstmann. So it all started over a question that Blake was asked on his Instagram saying, quote, did some of the people from Bachelor Nation at Stagecoach ask for advice? Now, Blake had a lengthy response, but the part that really stirred up some trouble was this. He wrote, the only advice that I gave them was to be careful of the official Bachelor podcast hosts. They are employees of ABC and will always get a good edit. So don't go against them or date someone they have their eyes on. Before we get into what Natasha said and get more into it, thoughts on what Blake had to say?
I mean, I kind of love that he's being candid, right? Because we all know it's no secret that there is some sort of like manipulation that goes on
Mm-hmm.
The Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise. We know that producers are heavily involved in the plot lines that happen on the beach. So if this is true, it would make sense, right? Because the people that
Yeah.
are hosting these Bachelor podcasts have a contract with ABC. And there's definitely like I don't know the proper term, but there's conditions in those contracts that they probably
Yes.
have to abide by. There's clauses and like this if I don't think he'd just sit there and make this information up, so it has to be true. And he didn't call anybody out specifically like
No.
by name. Like he was just generalizing and just saying be careful. Like he really didn't say anything bad here in my opinion.
Yeah, I am 100% with you. But apparently he did to Natasha because then she responded on her Instagram story saying she did not agree with Blake said. And of course, we do have to keep in mind that she is a host or the host of Clickbait with Bachelor Nation. So she is part of this podcast world that Blake is talking about. She said that Blake is villainizing her instead of holding the toxic people accountable. And then she said this, listen.
No. If you're taking what Blake is saying and you're rallying behind it, you're basically excusing toxic behavior. I was not toxic on the beach. Joe wasn't toxic in his relationship on the beach. Becca wasn't toxic in her relationship on the beach.
So I don't know that she, in my mind, is quite, running her point home. I almost feel like she kind of just proved Blake's point because everyone she listed has a podcast and had a good time on the beach. I mean, she didn't have a great time, but
Yeah, this is really interesting. Like you said, the three people she listed were her and Joe and Beck. Like it's crazy.
Yes.
They all have their podcasts. It also is really confusing to me because Blake did not say Natasha by name. He did not call her out for anything. Um so why is she getting so mad? Like what is she getting mad for? Why is she so worked up? She said in that video she wasn't heading to the beach. So
Yeah.
why are you getting so angry over the advice that Blake gave people that are actually going to the beach? And not for nothing, Natasha didn't have the podcast during her time on the beach. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
Blake wasn't talking about you and your behavior. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she had the podcast when she went on the beach last year.
I don't think she did either.
So he's not talking about her specifically. And we all know that her behavior wasn't toxic on the beach. We all felt bad for her. We were all saying Natasha for Bachelorette. Like, yeah, Blake made his own mistakes, but that was a really long time ago and he's owned up to them and he's in a much better place now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what she got like all defensive for and why she's like making herself a victim for what Blake said when he is
Yeah.
literally not talking about her at all.
And by the way, the people who got the bad edits were Brendan and Piper and Demi and Tammy, and pretty sure none of those people have a podcast, right?
No, and now Demi is actually like on a little podcast tour right now, revealing stuff about the beach that made her look bad. So it goes to show Blake's probably right.
I feel like we're making something out of nothing, but
Yeah.
that's Bachelor World, right? So to round out the drama, somebody asked if Blake Natasha's video, to which she said, "Nope, not worth my breath. Tell me it's the off season without telling me it's the off season." I actually really love that response, and I guess we didn't totally come out unscathed from Stagecoach.
No, I mean, listen, I always say, you know, there's no Bachelorette on TV right now. We have to wait till July. There's no Paradise right now. But there's always going to be something going on in Bachelor Nation. It never ends. The tea
Never.
will always be spilling. It will just never end.
There's too many of them, and they're too interconnected. There's always something happening.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you guys, we want to know whose side you are on in this, I'm calling it a little feud. Let us know in the comments, but before you do that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, ring that bell so you never miss any of our future videos. I'm your host, Blakely McHugh, joined by Gianna Gravalisi. You can see our social media handles on the screen. Give us a follow and come say hello. We'll see you next time.